All right, everybody, hold on a sec while we get started here remotely. Let me check do one last audio check. Check, audio check, 1 2 1 2.
Check, baby, check. 1 2 3 4.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever it is in the world you're coming to us from. Welcome to DYOR Live here on the DYOR Media Network. My name is Tom, otherwise known as Striking, here in the digital media world. So glad to be hosting another episode of this great award-winning show called DYOR Live. And it's live here from Oshkosh, Wisconsin at the EAA Adventure, Fly-In Adventure thing or something or whatever it's called. Anyway, it's the largest air show and air trade show in the world, and it simply is amazing. I'm here with Striking Jr. doing some career growth opportunities for him. Otherwise, he's looking for a job. But that's not going to stop Pedro and I from getting started here with the markets and what's going on in crypto, what's going on in the daily financial world. I just found a nice spot in the shade to look at or to sit down here. But anyway, I'm here at the Pilatus booth. Pilatus makes Pilatus, whatever they make. They make jets, they make airplanes, they make all kinds of stuff. And the little guy and my 6'6" son is in there looking for a job. But anyway, it's July 22nd, 1925. Nope, that's when this company was formed. It is 2025. July 22nd, 2025.
One more day.
The man in the box. The man in the box next to me here is none other than Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst. Pedro, what's happening today?
Hey, it's a good day. It's a beautiful day. The market is a moving. Some stuff was said by Jerome Powell. We have Bitcoin pushing up, and we have the divergence coming in from the S&P 500 as it starts to sell off today. And additionally to that, we also, which we've been predicting that we were going to see happen here sooner or later as alt season kicks in and starts to boom. In addition to that, we got some cool news things to talk about. And then we actually have my man, Brian Shiitake, who is building a community over on Instagram, and he's been in the Telegram world for years. But he really got some stuff going on with his company that he has going on, where they literally build AI generated word for word little reels for everybody on social media. And I know many of us who are watching have seen plenty of those. So he's going to come and talk a little bit about that, and then BS with me and talk about just the market in general. He's a trader himself, so he looks at a bunch of things as well. So it's going to be a good time had by all, and I'm looking forward to it. How are you, Mr. Thomas Herlihy?
I am tired. As we all know, I'm no spring chicken anymore here. I may not be old, but I'm not young. And yesterday I walked 20,000 steps, and not all of them in my familiar gait that my body's used to. It's kind of that start and stop as you go through a massive trade show, and you get tired. You get tired doing 20,000 steps outdoors in the sun. I thought I had sunblock, Pedro, and I did, but it may have been a little expired, so I got a little extra sun, got tired, which means that I slept pretty well last night. And so all is good going here. I'm with a number of friends, including my son. And it's most of the people here that I'm with are in the aviation industry, so it's just aviation nerddom. But it is an epic time here. I mean, I've followed the aviation industry forever because I've always had some kind of connection to it at some sort or another. So this is my first time at this show, and there's air shows all around the country, Pedro. But it's just where people go view the Blue Angels or the Thunderbirds or something like that, and a couple airplanes this is the entire industry is here. The entire industry of the aviation world. And the military is here. Every civilian airplane builder is here with a big display, you know, Piper and Cirrus and all these companies. There's 747 here, C-130, there's an F-18, there's an F-16, there's an F-15. It's just everything you can imagine. There are planes here, Pedro, that are still running, and lots of them that people own and fly every day, that were built closer to the invention of flight.
Oh wow!
Than they are to today.
Yeah, it was like 10 years ago. No, 100.
Yeah, about 110 years ago or so.
11 years ago, 112.
Yeah, so there's planes here that guys fly. Yeah, this is a Twin Beach built in 1944, and I still fly it. Take it down fly it down to Florida for the blah blah blah, and that was only 30 years into flight.
Yeah,
and it's 80 years later now, and he's still flying. It's just the most amazing thing. But it's really interesting. So it's taking up my time, but. The good news here is, since everyone's a techno nerd, they have great internet connections. Nice. They have full 5G service everywhere you go. And not only that, but a lot of the people here are old too, so they don't really use their phones that much. So we got a lot of cell coverage service here. There are a lot of YouTubers here, a lot of streamers. There's a lot of, as you might suspect, there's a lot of aviation channels on YouTube and Rumble and stuff. It's good. I have not run into. I am trying to track down. Apparently, there are two companies here that deal with tokenized ownership and/or timeshare, of which of aircraft, or not just one of aircraft and one of the time to rent an aircraft. Trying to track them down, see if I can talk to them about these types of things. So. It's an interesting time here. I am not aware. I have not been paying attention to financial news, because after walking 20,000 steps, you go home, you take a shower, and amazingly enough, you fall dead asleep. The only thing I had time for last night was to set up today's show, which I did, but I haven't been following the news. Pedro, what is Bitcoin doing today?
That is a great question.
Nothing.
Actually, no. It actually has been kind of pushing. It's still in the range that we talked about. It came down to the little range that we were talking about earlier yesterday. And one of the things that we were saying is we need to see either breakout above or breakout below. So that was this area here between that 120 and then the low of that 115. So we've been still playing in that range. But here's the thing. What's interesting is last few days we've been below the 8-period moving average, but you can see how the weekly 8, we still are very bullish. Even though we're Saturdays for the last maybe 2 weeks so far, it's not one of those things that I would sit there and say it's a negative situation. It just simply might be that the institutions are going through and they're establishing their position, and in additionally to that, also getting ready for the next leg up. Again, I think by the end of the month, I was hoping by the end of the week, but probably by the end of the month, we're going to see a 130. I'm almost positive about it. So we got right back down to our liquidity area that we'd been talking about that 115 area, and it was coming back down. I was like, all right, cool, this is going to be a good fun play. But sure enough, it didn't. It was bought back up. So it's interesting that they're keeping it in this range and letting it play here. So I wonder if we're going to see again this week just a consolidation. Sorry about that. See a consolidation in the market here, or we're going to see it actually push up here. So it's going to be really fun. One of the things I also want to bring up is, as we're looking at the intra time frame, because we're in this consolidation period, I want you guys to trade and look at between that 120 and that 115, 116 area. And when you look at it, you can play either the 4-hour period time frame, where you can see we've been bouncing and messing around with that 89 period moving average, as you can see. And so if we do see kind of sell off or hit this area of that 120 area, it's probably going to trigger again a bit of a sell off and come back down and tap this area again. So I want to say just be careful with this, because a lot of times sideways pattern, you think it's going to bust out, you think it's going to break out, and then all of a sudden it's like wah wah wah. So make sure that you just keep an eye. If you decided to break out and go long there, to me, I would want to short it like a small short. I'm not saying to risk everything in their mama, right? But what I'm saying though is just like take a small short, $2-3 on a leverage trade. See if you can get the breakout there if it decides to break out. But if this thing pulls back, I'm expecting to maybe pull back maybe 5,000, 4,000 points here down to this lower level, because we can see right here it's just a nice little consolidation area. So as we all can see right here, this is the Pedro sad face that I want to see move. So that's about it for Bitcoin. Mr. Herlihy, are you happen to be sharing things? Or should I be doing that? Sharing the show?
I have not done that. I will attempt to do that, but mobile, it's very difficult for me to do that.
All right, actually, don't worry. If you could, so if you could just read over real quick while we're kind of waiting, because we just went over Bitcoin here, and we're going to go over some of the news that came out with Jerome Powell and the speaking and all that. But before we really go and do that, I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit, go over to Watch Your Guru and just kind of give the, yesterday, today's news, talk about TON, how they created their own crypto wallet to 87 million US users. And so I think TON is getting ready to kind of start to take off. So we're going to go over that as well later today. And we're going to see some movement, because that's a big deal. There's a lot of people going to come in and buy the coin itself, and it's going to be a fundamental move there. So it's going to be really interesting to be able to send crypto, especially through the TON wallet. And I think that's going to add a little bit of money into their
Actually, one of the big news items I see is Coinbase is finally launching perpetual futures. That's gonna change a lot of if their fees are good, which I don't think they're going to be at first.
Yeah.
But if their fees are good, that'll bring legitimacy to a lot of the trading in the U.S. And will eliminate needing to use a lot of the exchanges overseas. But it'd be interesting to see if Coinbase, you can trade the products that you're interested in trading, such as crude oil, the certain tech stocks, the Nasdaq, the other indices, and gold and silver, and like that. That would be interesting.
Well, let me ask a quick question. So, they've been talking about this. We've talked about it a few times, how they've been talking about doing it, but now they're actually initiating it, getting it going. Do you think they're going to allow for potential future coins where, let's say, how Mexi is out there allowing people to trade the micro coins? If they can get a future up, they allow it to be traded, if they give the liquidity for it. And so,
I think Coinbase is not going to care so much about the people placing $10 perpetual orders. I think they're going to be wanting some of that institutional money that flows into the the major futures contracts and that type of stuff. And I got to be honest, the perpetuals industry, without having monthly rollovers and artificial deadlines, expirations, overnight fees, all that bullshit, that's the part of the old school way of trading. I think they want to be able to offer that. And frankly, what I could see? I could see Coinbase getting into it, offering the perpetuals, and then the Mercantile Exchange gives Coinbase access to certain things on the CME, and then Coinbase gives access to certain things on Coinbase, so people can have the best of both worlds. I mean, the days. One of the things that needs to end is these. The concept of, I need to sell before the market closes, or I need to close my position before the market closes. For a lot of these day traders, that's an artificial thing when markets actually closed, and people went home, and there were either no computers or the computers turned off until the morning. But now with worldwide markets, and crypto trades 24 hours a day, and most products trade 24 hours a day, just not their major liquidity doesn't trade it. I think that the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, it would be too difficult for them to develop a perpetual style exchange. I mean, they can just buy someone, or they can partner with someone like Coinbase, and they'll say, okay, you guys set it up, we'll partner with you, and then you partner with us for traditional contracts, and we'll have the best of both worlds. So I could see something like that, because even trading Nasdaq with people, like, they carry overnight fees, and like, how stupid is that?
Yes.
I mean that just makes no sense in the modern day era that you would have to do things like that.
But it's not like that anymore. I mean, the thing is, it had its place, but not anymore. It's one of those things that, because things are a 24-hour period, and the real reason is the liquidity, right? The fact is that you may not be able to get out of position, but now that we have automatic market makers that actually have a liquidity point, and we actually see how crypto has established staking as a way for you to actually add liquidity to a chart, right, is one of those things I think we're actually going to see come into TradFi and allow people to be able to sit there and create a type of staking that's safe for TradFi. And again, I think we'll even see that come in under different types of legislation that is being established. So obviously they're getting to get started. And speaking about legislation, what we're seeing with Ripple, guys, this is scary for me, but we'll talk about that later. And when Brian's on the phone, or when Brian's on the mic here, that will be fun. But I'm looking forward to that conversation. Really, really, really looking forward to. What's another old term for gold? GOL.
Another old term for gold?
Yeah.
God's shit. I don't know. I mean, gold's the oldest term I know for the word gold.
Yeah, I was just trying to think of like another one, because I'm trying to condense the term so that, because when you type your stuff, I can't sometimes fit it all in, because I have all those at people, so you can check us out. And so I had to sit there and think, what is another cute? And I said, there isn't. It's gold. Just put gold in. So lovely times. La, la, la,
I put in there like AU for gold.
Yeah, you could use AU. Yeah, that's the what's that called? The periodic
table
sign. Yeah, I like that AU. I like it a lot. So real quick, we can go over it. So TON got going, dude. And the other part that, like you said, and to see what's actually happening, because there's a much looser legislation going on in Washington for crypto, I definitely do see a lot of, I would say, outside the United States exchanges wanting to come inside the United States. I mean, it'd be great to sit there and see a MEXC in the United States, or some form of Binance. Like, we already have Binance USA, right? It was disbanded, but then they definitely kept it. We have loose foundational parts to Binance USA still in the US. So if they were to open up because the amount of money that can be generated from meme coins, right, is like crazy. And a lot of stuff we're going to see kind of transition, TradFi, go into the XRP ledger. XRPL is what it's called, right? Is that what it's called? XRPL. And so that idea behind it is that we're going to see this interplay between how you can actually see money coming from TradFi going into these meme coins and then pulling out. So to sit there and say hit 1 billion might even be like, oh, I only hit 1 billion because Goldman Sachs stayed out of this meme coin, right? Like, I think that in itself is going to be really interesting to see as we really continue in DeFi, how we see it. So I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But yeah, absolutely.
I share your concerns about Ripple.
It is
pretty strongly. I mean, they have been putting the super lobbying effort together, and frankly, their story is a good one. But I believe firmly that as much of this new era of digital finance, it should be decentralized as much as possible. Not as much as possible, but largely decentralized, to prevent one company from having so much influence, like Tether or USDC. You know, there's going to be multiple stablecoin companies. There needs to be multiple ledgers and stuff like that. Sorry, I've lost my screen here. Where is...
I think you're very much right. It's that, like, it's almost too, like, you've heard the saying, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? And my biggest fear is this, is that one thing about decentralization that truly holds it kind of in a beautiful sense is that the fact is that it is not, this is really important to sit there and say, nobody can have absolute power with a decentralized system. You know, you're one of a whole. And the fact is that you know, and it's all based off persuasion, your ability to lead. The problem is that XRP is setting up a way where they're going to have absolute power. And this is my biggest fear, is that they may be playing nice now, but in 10, 15 years, when they have an absolute stranglehold on the system, they become the new Swift. You know, and so this is my biggest fear that I'm afraid of. So,
hey, Pedro.
Yeah.
Well, we have a guest.
Oh, Mr. Shiitake. ¿Qué pasa, señor? Hey.
His mic is not on. Let's make sure.
Gotta get his mic on real quick, because this is typically Technical Tuesday. While you're handling that with him, I will start with the global market here. So,
hold on, Pedro. Because of the way I'm doing this here, we need to take care of it. Brian, is there a mute button on your bottom of your screen? I can't hear him.
So give him one moment. Un momento. I speak man with glasses language. All right, so while he's getting that set up, I know you got to do that. We've been watching the global market now kind of going stagnant, just like what we've been kind of seeing with kind of crypto. But what's interesting is it's been holding off of that 8-period moving average, as you guys can see. So I'm expecting us honestly to see a bit of a sell-off. Now, if they drop interest rates, I don't think it's going to have the effect in which it's going to, what that people think it's going to, because anybody who's in finance actually kind of fully understands if they drop interest rates, which banks are betting on right now. Okay, they're betting that powell is sooner or later going to drop interest rates, and so because they're buying short-term bonds or short-term interest rates. And so that in itself means that they expect it to literally drop. And so they will have a higher they will have a higher yield than the current buying of interest rates. And so because of that, they will be able to receive more income from it. So this is why I think, but that's actually going to have a deleterious effect on the market, because the problem is there's not a substantial amount of real employment that can substantiate the need for a drop in interest rates. And so then you're going to have, and the part that's so scary here is literally deflation. And you're like, wait, I thought we've been talking about inflation this whole entire time period. The problem is what we've seen in the past is every time we start to see deflation really happening in the global markets, which we've been seeing, and we've talked about this with China. Brian, let me know when you... Yeah, you're taking care of it. Okay, perfect. When the problem is that we've seen is that in China, we've seen deflation. And a few other places around the world, we're seeing deflation, and it's crippling their market because of what's actually happening. And even if we see many of the tariff situation pull back and we start to see free trade going back and forth again, the problem is that the global market is slowing down from a job stance. And so it's not really going to do anything. You'll just see a slowdown because nobody's buying already. So this is what's interesting. We'll find out what happens here. But this is why I'm kind of paying attention to the global market here really purposely, so that if I start to see a sell-off on the daily, we get below that 8 period, right, and we start watching that weekly 8 start to get messed with, I'm expect us to come down to that 161, which is basically going to be about a 5% pullback on the global market. So that's why it's so important to pay attention. Again, this is the URTH, the URITH. I always mess it up. It's basically the world ETF mechanism that you can actually pay attention to the top largest corporate entities out there. Boom. Let me know when you guys get that taken care of. Just interrupt me in any period in time. All right, guys. So you can see here that shocking. Hey, guys, if you guys could do us a quick favor, if you guys are watching us on any social media platforms, I see that we kind of got a low view there. If you guys could hit that like and subscribe button, that helps us out so much. It really does, and it really puts the algorithm at charge to sit there and say, hey, look, these guys are legit. They're talking about real things and people like them. And the way that they do is by you guys simply hitting the like, the share button, and all our people over on
I think Brian's good now for audio.
Hello?
Can
you hear me?
Yeah, there we go. There's Brian.
Cool. Yep.
All right, Brian, welcome to the show. Thanks for joining us today. As Pedro has said before, Brian and Pedro and I have been acquainted with each other for a long time through his old Telegram room. And he's been on the show in the past. And we've been trying to get him to come on, but he's been a very busy man. He's been a very busy man developing new products. He has not wanted to delve into the life of a 9-to-5 job in some 25-story building. He said, I want to develop my own products and run my own life. Kind of the mantra of what's going on in crypto here. And in the trading life itself. We want to look out for ourselves. So he's been doing that. He's got some new products. Pedro's going to talk to him about that. Pedro and Brian, take over the conversation. I'm camping on someone's sales desk here at the air show, and so I've got to move. So I'll check in with you guys in a bit.
You do, brother. What's up, brother? How you doing over there, man?
What's up, man? Nice to see you. Always a pleasure.
Yes. I love calling this man up. I tell him to keep seeking Jesus and run after Jesus, and he looks at me and goes, "Yes, sir."
Yep, amen to that. That's funny. Pedro and I have actually been to church together in person.
Well, we have. Well, no, we haven't, and we have. I mean,
yeah. Well, we went to not your church, but a church.
Yes, and we had to drive many miles apart from each other to meet at a place where we could go.
Yeah.
Because we're very far apart from each other in comparison. Yeah. So I say that because I don't want people to triangulate where I live.
Based on my bad OPSEC.
That's exactly. I don't need people showing up in my house with weird things, and nor do you.
Yeah, so, people are crazy, man, especially in this space.
Crazy. And the fact that we're going into this bull market, the altcoin season, and I'm excited. So let me jump right in because we got Technical Tuesday here. Brian, please jump in if you got commentary, or if you want to share maybe even a news story, please do. Also, I want you to just slightly shill what you're doing very eloquently, as you're very skilled at already. So always feel free to go ahead and do that.
We'll get into all that later. But really one of the top things on my mind is, I know you guys are mainly focusing on like main markets and stuff with what you do here with the technical analysis. Mm-hmm. But one thing that I've found really interesting over the last few months is this transition in the trenches, so to say, from pump fund to bonk. I don't know if you've seen this, but it's the timeline is very uncanny. I mean, I tweeted it out yesterday, so I'll just go get the exact time. But effectively, pump fund gets greedy and cuts Radium out of the operation and launches Pump Swap. And then within a month, Radium teams up with BonkBot to launch Let's Bonk.fun, which uses the migration tech from Radium. And now Bonk is just completely blowing Pump Fund out of the water. I mean, Pump Fund will be completely dead, in my opinion, within 12 months. I mean, by completely dead, I mean, sub 10% of the market share. But yeah, it's just crazy to see. It's really, really crazy to see.
I agree with that, Brian. Pump Fund spends $0 on their user interface. And if they had spent more than like one Solana on their user interface that was blinking at you all day like you're gonna have an epileptic fit, and so anything new is better.
Yeah, that was degeneracy for sure. But yeah, I mean, the dates are January 19, 2024. They launch Pump Fund, and then March 20th, 2025, they ditch Radium and add Pump Swap, and then 1 month later, April 25th. Bonk launches Let's Bonk with Radium, and then July 3rd, Bonk overtakes Pump. So, dude, Alan, so 100% of nothing.
Well, here's the thing I bring up. This is the beautiful part about crypto and about decentralization. And the fact is that grassroots can easily jumpstart and supersede the incumbent within 2-3 weeks to a month. This is the beautiful part, because if it's efficient, you can't stop the masses from getting to it. And so that's one of the things I absolutely adore about crypto, is that you can't hold it back, because the decentralization allows for true freedom and capitalism to overtake. And so if you got something better, you can quickly jump. So
all it takes is someone to say, oh, it's 0.1 sol instead of 0.2, and not as many scammers, and I made 5x, and like half the people will go, yeah, all right, I'm in, whoop, and they move. That's how loyal we crypto people are.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny to think how many like metas we've seen come and go in all of our times in crypto, because we've all been in crypto some time. But like from DX sale to Pink sale, having their rise and fall. I mean, do you remember when every chart was shared on PooCoin? Like every single chart was PooCoin.
PooCoin. Oh, shout out!
PooCoin is a relic. Yeah, they're literally a relic now. They only support BSC. It's like a total relic. It's a waste of server space at this point. But at the time, they had a monopoly. It was insane. You know, they're running ads, getting 150, 200 grand a day in ad slots, you know, and now they probably are lucky to sell $500 a day.
Well, it's interesting. You remember back then also, I mean, in just the Telegram world, I remember now Caesar calls, right? Like they were juggernauts, right? And I mean, they were literally making almost $200,000-$300,000 a day just off of just AMAs. And then let alone like shout outs or whatever, right? Now, dude, I mean, people are like, who's Caesar's calls? Like, who's he? Like,
well, he retired.
Well, he also kind of went crazy, and they kind of got kicked out of his entire community. And but we
Maurice is supposed to be taking it over, and Maurice is a good guy.
Yeah, I like Maurice. Maurice is a real good guy.
He is.
So let me real quick kind of go into like what I want to talk about DeFi, because I think it's really important, because I want to parallel that to what's actually happening with XRP and just almost again a centralization within crypto through XRP. And me and you have talked about this ad nauseum. Well, I won't say ad nauseum, but at times where we talk about like we don't want to see a centralization of crypto, and yet we keep seeing the legislators as well as the corporate entities really try to keep a hold of it, and I believe this squashes innovation, right? Like I truly think that this is a way that you can squash innovation and allow the big dogs, kind of like Web 2 entities, Web 2 leaders, really to come back in and gain that control. So I want to talk about that, but real quick, let's jump in, because we got a lot of people who do like us. Also, if you're watching this, guys, help my main man over here, Brian, to I want to shout out his page here real quick, and I want people to come check him out. So if you guys could share our page, I would really appreciate it. Share it, like it, and if you go through and do it, click on that link and put it into a incognito browser, and it does help us out immensely. It really does. Pushes it out there. Then the algorithm sits there and sees it and goes, oh, people like it, and they start sending more people to us, and then we can hijack that thing. And so we're over there on Rumble. We would really appreciate it if you could do that immensely. All right, guys. So let's go into real quick. The ES here, it's been really funny because the ES has been playing with all-time highs now consistently. But the thing I don't like about it is what do we keep seeing? We keep seeing seller wicks. Now the buyer wicks are coming in, but the only problem with buyer wicks, we've got such a big leg up that it's just not going. Like, look at this huge leg. Like, this is a huge leg up, and there's no pullback. It's literally just straight from 4,600 or 4,600 or 4,800 to literally 6,300. And it's just it's one of those things that I expect to see a pullback here real quick. And so because of what's happening with with the interest rates, again, I don't think interest rates is going to have a good effect on our market if they drop it, because it's going to mess up a lot of the internal workings, and I think it's going to actually crash some things. So
I love talking to you, man, because we we tend to think so similar, but also disagree on so much.
Yeah, which is good. I think it's absolutely
so good. I know, it's amazing.
So talk to me. What do you think?
Well, wait, hold on, Brian. Brian, hold on. Before we do that, I need to do one thing here. You won't see it on your feed, but it's going out to the stream. Ladies and gentlemen, as always on Tuesday here, we like to provide a segment here in which Pedro goes over all the world's economic indicators, which lets you know how your bags grow. Even if you're not a day trader, these world economic indicators let you know and teach you what the news is telling you, so you can see through the crap that the mainstream media tells you. You can say, when they're talking about rates, you know how it's going to affect your bag, and that's why you come here on Tuesdays to Technical Tuesdays, and here is the intro. All right.
So, Brian, you don't actually need to mute yours. You don't need to mute.
Okay.
So the other part behind it as well is that this is really a professional system of talks. That's why I love it. So one of the things I do, and I think it's real important, is I'm going to talk about.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back here with Technical Tuesday. Pedro is going over the world's economic indicators, how they affect you, and I'll be back later to talk about that with Brian and Pedro.
Awesome. All right, so Brian was about to elucidate on the idea of why we do kind of disagree on what we're going to see. Ultimately, I always say I love hearing other people. I don't want to be in an echo chamber. So go ahead.
Of course.
And it's really important. Make sure that we keep things very simple. Like I don't use
of course.
words like bull. I can't even think of the words now, but I just try to keep things very simple instead of getting complicated, because then I lose the
sounds good. Well, listen, I'm not going to disagree with your main market strategy or your main market analysis, because you have a lot of experience in the main market. Now, I think like lowering interest rates, obviously it's a temporary fix in a lot of cases, but it also can lead to innovation, especially with all the red tape that they're cutting. It can really drive innovation. But aside from that, one thing you said prior to saying that I wanted to comment on was with the Genius Act and everything that they're doing is kind of stifling or squashing innovation. And I'm not a big XRP guy. I'm not big on Brad Garlinghouse in general. But that being said, I think that them standardizing some type of regulatory framework for crypto at the highest level will have the opposite effect on crypto innovation. I think that there's two different aspects of crypto innovation. There's domestic and general crypto innovation. Okay. And if you look at somebody like myself who has a company in crypto, okay.
What's the name of it, by the way?
It's WenSwap. And we can get into that after, but appreciate that.
Right.
WenSwap. And so I'm clearly in the United States. I'm not going to fake the fact that I'm not in the United States. I am in the United States. And we own a crypto company. And without some type of regulatory framework, when we reach a certain size, we have one option, which is to incorporate our company outside of the United States. Because if you're with the current framework, if you're a crypto company inside the United States and you get big enough, there's a not zero possibility that your door will get kicked in by the feds for literally no reason. And because of that, a lot of the domestic innovation is stifled. You can't really kill the general innovation in crypto, in my opinion, because the people in the United States are smart enough to just incorporate their businesses outside the United States and continue to innovate. And so I agree with you on some aspects of it, but also on the other aspect, if we want to be the crypto capital of the world, which is what this administration seemingly wants for their own interest or for public interest, who knows, but they want us to be the crypto capital of the world, then you can't have that with all of the red tape that surrounds trying to own a crypto-related business. For example, and then I'll volley it back to you, but for example, running a crypto-related business, if I take income in on crypto or I'm paying my employees out on crypto, it's handled entirely different on a tax level than just taking in fiat and paying out employees in fiat. When I convert those funds from crypto to fiat for my regular business, I have to do all of this financial gymnastics, costs a fortune with accounting, and a lot of companies, quite frankly, just choose to completely avoid it entirely and just find a way to do it where they don't have to say anything, which is the wrong approach. And if there's no framework, then that is how businesses will operate in the country, and that will not lead us to being the crypto capital of the world. So regulation is good.
I think you're absolutely right in that aspect. But my biggest concern is just the idea of the wording that leans and gives bias to XRP, and then them being able to establish a CBDC off of the
For sure.
Act. And this is my biggest fear. And so, like, of course, just like with any bill in Congress, we see, and this is what frustrates me, is like there's this awesome, amazing part, and then there's this kick you in the face and punch you in the balls part, right? And it's like either you pick Donald Trump, Hillary Clinton, Donald Trump, or guess who? Crazy woman, right? Who wants to like destroy America and allow our borders to be, it's not, we don't have a fair system where it's like, okay, you've got a mid-centralist smart guy and who's on the left, and you got a mid-centralist guy, smart guy on the right, and they bring up great, amazing points. It's just these extreme far left and far right sides that doesn't allow for a real good leader to come out of. And that's what frustrates me. And so it's like in the same way with the Genius Act, and I pray with a lot of the other acts or a lot of the other laws that are coming out, like I just want to, I'm not afraid of XRP, but the problem is I am afraid if they let that power get to them. Right?
Have you ever used the XRP Block Explorer?
I hear it's pretty easy. I hear you can go in and you can just set things up and go. I've seen people talk about it and I've seen videos on it.
I think it's personally terrible. Like really? Like SoulScan or EtherScan, their equivalent on XRP, for me, is like unusable. I guess maybe I haven't spent a bunch of time on it, but yeah, it's not very usable. But they do have this cool AML tool that they came out with that I saw in there, where like you can like filter down for like AML reasons for XRP. Regardless, we're on the same page as far as CBDC. That is the worst possible thing ever. But dude, let's look at stable coins, okay? What are stable coins in their truest form? It is like
it's debt.
It's debt, but it's also it's at least a DC, a digital currency that is centralized. So if that's the case, isn't it just a CBDC?
But it cannot be cut off in a major fashion that will remove you out of the complete system from even working in DeFi. You know what I'm saying? Like
there's a choice. There's a choice of many stable coins.
Yeah, and there is. But my biggest key is that it still has this idea that I can say, all right, I'm cut off here, I can go over here. If we see a CBDC system, you're done. Well, Tom nailed it. You have choices. I can jump back and forth and not worry about it. So that's my biggest fear.
Unless it's mandated that you can't. Unless they make it illegal to jump back and forth, right?
But here's the thing. As long as we have a system that we can do that and we have the internet, I can go VPN. I can do certain things to make sure that I'm kind of taken care of, right? I can have a double VPN, a triple VPN that literally that masks me, and then I can go through WinSwap, then use XMR, or maybe Tornado Cash, right? It's like this idea that
don't use that one.
Well, you know what I mean.
I know. Your money will be mixed in with the DPRKs. Oh my god.
But what I'm saying, or MoonSwap, right? You can use MoonSwap that we built, right? It's like, it's this idea though that my biggest thing is this, is that I want to have the ability to I don't want to be behind a cage. Like Friday 2, right? I'm an Aztec warrior, baby. I'm an Aztec warrior. No locked doors, man. Like that is real. And that is something that I feel like Americans and a lot of people who are not in crypto yet don't understand, that the freedom that you actually have. So it's what's the word I want to use? It is one of those moments that I'm struggling with. I really am. I'm sorry. Go ahead, bud.
Pedro, to build on what Brian was saying, is that the freedom that companies have is to incorporate elsewhere. If we don't fix the tax issue with in treating stablecoins as property, they got to, there's a bill in Congress to say, okay, the first $300 or $600 is non-taxable, but that's like stupid. That's not payroll. That's not paying a bill. Don't have these three major bills get into Congress about crypto, and none of them addressed the gorilla in the room, which was treating these things like property instead of currency. And the things that qualify as stable coins should be treated as currency. Doesn't make any sense. I mean, if it represents $1, oh my God, there's a guy here. It looks like Michael Saylor. It's not him, but it just looks like him. But I just don't see how the one bill that addresses it is so tiddlywinks. It's like, unexempt everything too. You're like, unless you send it internationally, and then it's not exempt. It's mind-boggling, and you're right, Brian. And companies have the ability to just say, no, we're not going to deal with that. We're going to do the double Dutch-Irish thing and reincorporate the crypto assets overseas in Liechtenstein, where they treat it like currency, and so we don't have to worry about it.
We're not going to accept U.S. users. We're not going to accept users from the U.K. because you guys won't recognize it as for what it is, which is currency, not property. Man, I pay the rent on my office. I've bought cars. I use crypto as a currency in so many different facets of my life. I buy gift cards. I buy so much with crypto in and of itself. I buy things off Facebook Marketplace with crypto because it's currency, dude. It's a store of, it's an exchange of value. And for us to treat it like property is ridiculous. I mean, it's the dumbest thing possible. It's just, it's innovation suicide, in my opinion. We're actually killing the innovation in the country.
I agree. Now, this is Technical Tuesday, so we're gonna pivot and talk about some charts. And then real quick, we're going to come back here to this because it's real important. Speaking of innovation and what's actually happening in the actual markets, we're seeing S&P 500 right now starting to show some weakness here. And I want to point this out here again. And I mentioned this now a few times. This is when right here, it's supposed to be right here. Right here was the day where we really started to see a drop in volume. And so we keep seeing this drop in volume on the S&P 500 because people aren't necessarily 100% sure that we're going to continue in this bull run within the S&P 500. And if we see this actually happen, what's going to happen is then we're going to see a sell-off, which I'm expecting because of this volume drop-off to a lower level here. And so this is where I'm expecting, like we've talked about this 54.43 area coming down to and seeing its drop. Now, correlated with that, we'll also see the NQ drop. Now, we saw it already drop today, not substantially, but enough to where it came and bounced off the 8-period moving average. And the part that I want to point out is we're not really seeing a huge portion of volume leave the actual NQ. So it's one of those things that I'm looking at and I'm paying attention to, because if we see a drop in the S&P 500, like what we've been seeing come in, and then we actually see, now when you look at the actual market here, I don't expect it. This right here, the S&P 500 index here is like the broad market. We're seeing it sell off here. It's this kind of cash market. The SPX is a little bit different. It's more of a trader's market, and the same thing as well as the ES. Now, the cash market typically overwins because that's where the cash market is. It's like when you see Bitcoin spot, right, sell off, we're seeing volume drop. Typically, that indicates we're going to see a sell-off. Well, it's the same idea with the cash market in relationship to the S&P 500. So when you look at the NQ, or excuse me, the Nasdaq, we're seeing some kind of similar on the cash market, and as well as the futures market as well. We're seeing a sell-off of, or when I say sell-off, a decrease in volume coming in. And so even though we keep hitting these all-time highs, so I'm expecting if we see a sell-off there, where is this going to go? I think we'll see it maybe play off the 100, which is going to be roughly around price-wise, around that 20,000, and potentially come back and test that 18,000 that we were talking about. And so if that happens and we're seeing this correlation, are we with Bitcoin, are we going to see a divergence between crypto and traditional finance right now in relationship to the indices? And this is where I say innovation comes in with, if that is going to happen, a lot of money is going to flow into crypto. We're going to see, just like we see in every bull run, money is free flowing. So I wonder what we're going to see actually come out of that as we see the sell off into this next bull run, or into this bull run, and then the sell off that correlates with the bear run. Do you think we're going to see a sell off into this bear run, or into the bull run that we're coming into?
Dude, I've got no clue, honestly. Like, I've got no idea how high Bitcoin can go. I'm not good at predicting it. I'm not good at calling it. I've got no idea, honestly. I mean, I think that if we do see a sell-off, my guess is that Bitcoin's not going to go back below 100K unless it goes down to like 102, and then it might drop below. I'm not sure, but I don't see it going below 100K until we're in a bear market, until we actually are shifting into a bear market. So I guess that would be indicative of it going up to 130, 140. I mean, the bulls, it's like, if I look at last cycle, everyone was like 100K Bitcoin, 100K Bitcoin. And we were obviously just shy of it, but that was like the Moon Boy's dream. Seems like this cycle, the Moon Boy's dream is 300K Bitcoin, 300K Bitcoin. So we'll see what happens. But I think 300K is like the unrealistic, unattainable pipe dream price. And anything under that is possible, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like it. I like it 250, 300,000 Bitcoin. In all reality, I think if we do start to really catch wings and everybody kind of gets freaked out, if we have a sell-off in the actual market, the TradFi S&P 500 market, I think we're going to see a lot of money come into crypto. And a lot of the money will flow. And then as that sells off, money goes into crypto. You see a deleveraging in TradFi, and money goes into crypto, which then becomes highly volatile. And then come around December, January, potentially February, we see a massive sell-off and then another rally back into TradFi. So I think this is where, and then from there, they'll go back and correlate with each other. And, when one goes up, they'll start to follow the Nasdaq. So it's going to be really interesting to see as we start to move here. Now, do you at all pay attention to government bonds, what's actually happening along with interest rates?
I pay attention to interest rates. That's pretty much it, not bonds. Okay.
So you can see here rates, short-term interest rates, right? Like the 1 month have been staying steady around that 4.3. Okay. And which is real interesting because when we go then into the 2-year yield, it's actually lower than the 1 month yield, which is crazy, which is basically a bull steepening, which is kind of going to be this real interesting situation as we continue forward, because this typically means that when this happens, again, banks are betting on this. This is why they're actually buying long-term bonds, right? We're seeing a sell off, but we're seeing more money coming in on bonds, interest rates at these higher levels. So if we see a major interest rate drop by Powell, right, this would crash everything. So we're watching, and you're like, well, Pedro, how do you know? Well, look at the seller wicks. Look at the seller wicks, right? We saw seller wicks. We're not really, look at these seller wicks up in these levels here. Look at these seller wicks, right? We're not seeing a lot of demand wicks. So that indicates to me that I'm expecting to see 30-year drop, but at what rate? Is it going to stay above the short-term yields, or are we going to see a drop of the long-term as well? And I don't think we are. I think people are actually more bullish on long-term for America, but short-term not so much. So this correlates here because this is money right now in relationship to stable coins. And as this starts to flow, we will see it affect Bitcoin in the future. We're not really seeing it now, but this, because of the cycles and how things move, we will start to see this. Like one of the things that I keep doing, like I'll forward think and I'll put together about 20, 25 potential possibilities. And then from there, I'll let them splinter and I'll play each one out. And the one that I really see happening more than anything is when you see it splinter is we will see 20, 30 yields. And the only reason why I get this is because I actually got this from Saylor, talking about how Bitcoin's going to be the settlement layer. It will be the complete foundation to the new financial system as we see a de-dollarization or another form of interchange between tariffs, right? Or not tariffs, but in relationship to global trade, because you need a medium of exchange. And so this is one of those things that I'm expecting to see interest rates get down to potentially, at least on the 30-year, I expected to see to get down to that 4.7 or 450, 475 area. And then the net, if this thing falls through this area, because we've already almost traded through this, the next level is down at that 450 area for your 30-year. So then when you look at your monthly, you're like, why are you jumping to the monthly, Pedro? That would be your spot, Brian, to ask.
There you go. Why are you jumping to the monthly, Pedro?
It's because if we see also a drop in the monthly rate, the next level is going to be at a 325 area for your monthly. And this is where everything is built off of, right? This is, you have the Fed rate, and then you have the bank rate, right? And then you have that monthly starting yield. And so we've already been trading through this area. We saw they were, during the last Fed chair speaking, right? They were trying to sell it off, and then he said, we're not selling anything, or we're not going to drop anything, and they pulled it back up. But again, what do you keep seeing? You keep seeing the banks going in and selling off. Look at all these seller wicks. Like, it's, you know, as soon as it goes in, they drop the market. Boom, they drop the market. So it's one of those moments that you're literally seeing. It doesn't matter. I look what they're doing with their money. And if their money says we're betting on it dropping, I don't care what comes out of your mouth. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
yeah, but they've been betting on, I don't know. We'll see. It's not unlike them to bet on the market to drop, I suppose. But yeah, market's in a crazy position, man. I did not think that it was going to react the way that it did. I didn't think that we would enter a potential world war and things wouldn't just literally melt down. Because from my experience, you know, when Ukraine, Russia happened, that was such a detached war from us, and it melted the markets and brutally melted the markets.
Yeah, it did.
Killed a lot of people's businesses. And then, you know, this whole thing happened with Iran, and the reaction was not that harsh. Yeah, it was very minimal. The war wasn't even over yet, and the market started ripping.
Yep.
So.
Well, and I think also the idea behind it is also like, so I talk a lot about deflation. And so a lot of those actual market sentiment sell-offs were actually were market sentiments from deflation that were happening. And so many of the banks saw this correlation and said, if we have deflation come in, it destroys, because when you're based off a credit system, you need inflation. You need inflation to keep things growing, right? And it also helps with and I was actually on the Shogun, I was on Shogun's town hall, and I was talking about this idea of like debt allows for major innovation, because you can take on debt, build a company, create new innovation, i.e. look at Elon, right? And then that innovation brings up money. Then what do? Take on more debt, while at the same time you can collateralize it, because now you have a business bringing in money. And then you create more innovation, and it's a cycle. So you need both systems. You need DeFi, which is going to, I feel like I said, be a fundamental base layer. And I'm quoting Michael Saylor here, but you do need that side. And so part of that is literally when we started seeing deflation kick in, we started seeing a lot of people, and like, again, deflation was happening in China and a few other places around the world. So it's already started. And then in America, with a drop in real, this is important, real private sector jobs, not governmental jobs, right? Like last month, they said, oh, it's good job reports. But the reality is we actually started seeing jobs coming in from government systems like teachers, municipalities, hiring, which was the leftover the leftover people who lost their jobs within the government, within the federal government. So it's one of those things. It's like, you need to pay attention to this, because you can sit there and say we had great jobs report, but the reality is that is just a siphon on the system, and we need real private jobs, and those are lackluster. And when we see that slow down, people don't have money to buy things, and so what do businesses do? If people aren't buying things, they discount things, which then we start to see deflation happening. And then when that happens, those companies do what? They lay people off because they're not making as much money. And if they're not making as much money, then what happens next? They then start to hold on to their innovation and they lay people off or cut hours. And so that was actually what was happening at that same period that we saw what was happening with the tariffs, right? Because people were really afraid. So you need to understand, like, look at the root of what was actually happening, not the symptom of the sell-off, saying like what the actual principle. And this has been happening now for a while. And I kept talking about this with Biden's administration and how it was all falsified in a big lie. Yeah,
it was pathetically falsified.
And
I mean,
go ahead.
Please
interrupt me. Okay, go ahead.
You mentioned something about China, and one thing that's interesting about their entire situation is, like, their economic crisis is in full swing effectively ever since Evergrande. They haven't entirely recovered, and so the tariffs were extremely damaging to them, and that has a direct impact on what we have going on. It's not just tariffs, like if you're familiar with how, I don't know if you've seen this, but the reports came out on Temu. Temu lost 58% of their U.S. consumers in 1 month. 58%, and that's completely because Trump changed a loophole that they were leveraging with small packages being, exempt from tariffs, and so that's gone. Same thing happened to Shein. Shein lost over 20% of their monthly active users in 1 month, and so that's impacting them in a different way.
They were actually losing profit prior to that.
Because they're subsidized. Yeah,
it was subsidized by the government, and because of Evergrande and why am I saying something Garden? Evergarden and Evergrande and something Garden. Because of the situation that was happening on there within China, we actually started seeing it affect, right? So people were looking for other ways to make money, other ways to do things in China, and in China, like they look for the smartest guy and the most talented, and they throw money into them. But the reality,
Elon Musk just responded to me on Twitter.
On the real?
On the real. Literally just responded to me on Twitter.
Dude, say what's up. Dude, share it. Wow, bro, if you could connect with him, this would be huge, man. Be huge for both.
I can't connect with him. He just replied to me on Twitter.
Doesn't matter. You still connect.
I mean, that's like incredible, dude.
Dude, I don't really ever see them.
Sorry to interrupt you there. That was like...
You heard it here, people. First, Brian Shiitake on the market here on Technical Tuesday, being talked to by Mr. Elon Musk. What's up? What's up, Elon? Keep it gangster, bro. Love what you're doing.
Jeez. What in the world is that about?
Yo,
sorry, man. That's kind of star-stretching.
Share our show on your Twitter feed.
I already did.
Yeah, baby. Elon, what's up, baby? Yo, keep going, dog. Keep going.
Well, I think this actually brings in an important conversation for something that I wanted to bring up. So I think that there's two primary issues right now. Obviously, it's like the jobs and everything you were saying, but then also skilled labor. Like we don't have the skilled labor to do a lot of these tasks. And I think advanced robotics are going to have an incredible shift in the next 3 to 5 years. And that displacement that's going to come from the advanced robotics is going to be very gnarly, something we've never even seen before in the job market. It's going to be very gnarly. I need to take care of a few things though while you speak. So you're going to speak and I'm going to type for a minute because I have to capitalize on this moment.
Absolutely, bro. Capitalize 100%. So one of the things I think is really important also to correlate with that is, and I was talking to somebody, it's funny, there's a girl who I thought it was a guy in a basement, like legit, that was trying to get me to come to their OnlyFans, right? And so like I mess with all of them, bro. It doesn't matter, like all of them. But what's interesting is I'm always reading about robotics, AI, quantum computing, crypto, just the kind of the latest stuff that's actually happening, right? Quantum entanglement, the ability to how we've been able to like teleport information from one area to another through quantum entanglement, right? Just dope stuff. So I sent her this little thing on robotics, and I didn't expect her to actually like respond. I thought she'd be like kind of ditzy, but she actually responded to me. So if you're watching us, yo, go to Rumble and say what's up. Set up a profile there and say what's up. But let's go ahead and finish this off here real quick. The robotic system is really interesting because one of my biggest thing is this. I'm a bit timid. I call it this period of about 15 to 20 years, whereas we see robotics come in, and it is going to be a tumultuous experience within the labor world, because once we get on the other end, let's say I would say 30%, where once we get to 30 or 40% of unemployment, where literally half the world is no longer have the ability to work because robotics have taken off, what we will see is some of the greatest experiences in humanity, because many of these robots will be able to do 2 to 3 times the amount of work for basically 1/10 to 100th of the cost they would normally cost a human being. And so when that happens, we will then see the prices of goods and services literally drop, because the thing that you need to produce that, i.e. humans, to run, you have to pay them a salary so that they can put food in their mouth and covering, right? But the reality is this, is on that back end, I say to everybody, look, it's going to be a hard 15 years. But as this period comes, and we start to see more of these robots with AI systems take over our jobs, we're going to see some really good times and some really bad times. But one thing to make sure is that we will probably see a one world. If things keep going, we'll probably see a one world type of government that will pay everybody a certain amount of money to live. With the robotic system, this is why
it's also sustainable, right? And because you know me, okay, in my core, I'm a capitalist. You know this about me. 100% a capitalist. But I'm also a realist, and I understand that at some point in society there will be a need for some level of UBI, I guess, some socialism some
what is
socialism
UBI?
properties.
What's UBI?
Universal basic income,
everybody
to some extent. And I think at this stage in humanity, one of the issues is that we've had a lack of intelligence and we've had a lack of energy production. And I think in the next 10 years, we're going to have a major energy surplus, to the point where we won't even know what to do with all the energy that we're producing. It will be insane. And intelligence is just obviously, even already at this point, pretty much just available to anybody. And so with a surplus of energy and a surplus of intelligence, then you bring in a surplus of actually capable robotics, and it could make some properties of socialism actually function in a society appropriately. But I still think it's net negative. I mean, I still think in the long run it's effectively the downfall of humanity, but it is what it is. We'll get a good 100-year run of innovation out of it.
I don't think it actually will. This is the thing. So I'm a Christian, and so either Jesus is going to split the eastern sky and show up and be like, "What's up?" and there's this real battle that happens, or humanity, I think, and again, and I bring this up real quick because this is what Agodius Maxis was based off of, where there was 2 AI talking with each other, and they were talking about 3 major issues happening in the world. And one of the things it says, and it was really interesting, is that this AI said to another AI, well, we need to keep humanity because humanity has quantum computing already established in their brain. So instead of trying to build our own, why not use the actual system that's already there, which is within the human beings? We just got to make it more efficient from an energy level, from an energy consumption level. This takes a lot of energy to build and to be able to process, just like normal quantum computers. And so I thought it was really interesting. They said it needs to come through and build an interface where you can utilize the human brain with them being willing to interact with us. And I thought to myself, I said, yes, they are right. Yeah. Instead of trying to dominate and destroy humanity, it needs to connect with us. And because humans are automatically, my feed suddenly stopped and went to the beginning. I am now live now. Oh, it's all good, Mikey. By the way, shout out to Mikey. What's up? Crypto Mikey. Shout out to Mike Stir. Thanks for having us, guys. Appreciate every one of you guys. Listen, if you have any questions for Brian, please shout him out. He's a legend in the world. He's building some dope stuff. And so we'll talk about that a little bit later. Real quick, I want to jump back in because I want to talk about some of the things here that we're going to be seeing. So I've been monitoring what we've been watching with the VIX and watching what's happening with because the bond system, the bond yields and what's actually happening with interest rate. I expect to see if we keep going what's happening and we're seeing a drop in yield. Okay, and then we see also a drop in the short-term yield as well as the long-term is dropping too, but at a slower rate. This is a good situation long-term because that means that people are 100% in it to win it with America, and people are betting on America over the long haul. But for a short-term period, we're going to see some tumultuous times here for a minute. And so this is where I think the next 6 months is what we're going to see. So I've been paying attention to the VIX, and the VIX did drop a little. We've been seeing it just kind of chill out here at the normal levels, which is right here. So that's a good thing. But I want to talk about that because I told you guys we're monitoring that. Also, let's check out, we were talking about China and the US dollar and India. So, well, India is going to be a major part in this because of the intellectual capital that they bring to the table, as well as China. Now, what's nice about it is we've been also watching the PGJ, which is and again, I think this is definitely manipulated by their government, is that we're watching their stock market actually pull up. The PGJ for the Golden Dragon China ETF is one of those ones that I've been paying attention to, and we're watching it. It's coming up into our supply area here, and it's looking like it might break it. The only issue is that we're not watching a ton of real volume come in here. So I'm watching more sellers step in. We want to see, this will still be a short that we do expect. So if it hits it and we start to see small term sell off, if you're gonna play the options on this, make sure that you keep it very tight stop on this, right? And so because we're staying above that 8 period on the daily on this ETF. So for me, I'm looking to see us first break that 8 period the 8 period moving average on the daily before I take in my options to be able to short there. So that's what we want to see. Okay, guys, just give you guys heads up there. Let's talk. Do you want to say anything about China and their stock market?
Sadly, I have to split. I had a hard stop at 115 and I pushed it to 130, and I got to jump off and prepare for it. But dude, this is always a blast. Hey, and clip that for me. We got the live reaction of me getting a reply from Elon on X. So clip that and let's make a clip out of that.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
Dude, as always, just so appreciative for you guys having me. And I know you said earlier to talk about it, but if you guys don't know who I am, I've been in the space a long time. My name's Brian. I started in BSC and I started full-time in crypto back in about 2020, went off to build my own web 2 software company, built my software company that was a text to video AI startup company, exited that successfully. And now I'm onto a stage in my life where I am building a web3 product that is called WenSwap. It allows you to privately fund brand new wallets cross-chain. It's exclusively on Telegram. If you want to check it out, wen.bot, you can check it out. You can just follow me on socials. Like, you don't have to go try the product at the end of the day. It is what it is, you know?
Give me your socials.
Yeah, I'm just Brian Shiitake, SHIITAKE, baby, on everything. Just Brian, at Brian Shiitake.
Slow it down. We got a bunch of old timers here. You can't be talking that fast with the young group. Slow it down for me. What is that?
Brian, it's Brian Shiitake, SHIITAKE. So you can find me on TikTok, YouTube Shorts, Instagram, X, and you can follow me on X. And I update constantly about the product and everything on there. So if you're interested in learning more about that, then come on over and hang out. But regardless, it's so nice to be in here. As always, I appreciate you guys a lot for having me in here. It's always a fun time. Pedro, you and I can go back and forth. Yes. And it's so much fun having, somebody else that actually has an opinion that isn't just a drone that can sit here. You and Tom can sit here and talk about your perspectives, and it's cool to go back and forth. We've been doing this for how many years, dude? Yes. Where you and I get in VCs, and you're like, no, this is the way it is, and I'm like, this is the way, bro. No. Yeah. Like, we need to rethink this. Yeah, so it's cool, man. Always cool.
Absolutely. And remember, who's always right?
Oh yeah, me obviously, dude. You said Bitcoin. How low did you say Bitcoin was going, Pedro? Yeah.
Oh
okay.
man, bro, I was so wrong in that. Oh,
I gotta go. Okay, as always, my brother. Okay.
Thanks for coming, Brian. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, my heart goes out to you guys. Later. Bye bye.
Great guy. I love Brian. He's always a good guy. Met him. He's actually was my first real community outside of Moonrock. So he kind of brought me in, and I remember he had a Christmas special one time, and he did an open mic night, and people, or what was it? A karaoke mic night is what it was, and I sang, "This land is your land, this land is my land." Anyways, and it was a great experience. I remember, and then we were just having a good time. So shout out to Brian and what he's doing. Go check him over at WinSwap, and as well as Brian Shiitake with 2 eyes. All right, guys. So let's check out here real quick with as I cough and I'm about to die over here. The dollar here, the last few days, we've seen the sell off here. Now, I said I expected it to kind of sell off of the 50 period moving average. I thought we would come up to this level here, but we did not. We saw the sell off. So I said, don't get too bullish on where we're at right now. I expect a sell off and then a push back up again. So we're kind of watching that. And I said, expect it to kind of come back down to this level here, right over here, over here. Don't you want to go to your home? Tom, you there? Oh, no, you must be gone. All right, guys, let's check it out here real quick. Dun. Oh, Thomas, what's up, man? How you doing? Looking the big O's.
Good, Pedro. I'm on a tram from one end of the airport to another, so it's not conducive to live streaming.
Ah, no worries. You are good to go, my friend. Good to go. So we got a couple areas right here. So when it comes to the dollar, if you're looking to play this dollar again, I think we're going to see some liquidity up at that 97 area, 97.1 or 97.79 area. And then if we continue lower, we're going to probably see again another liquidity pull. So these are small trades. These are quick trades. You go in, get your money, and get out. This is going to be that 96.59. And I don't think we're going to put in another lower low. Again, I think we're going to see it stay around this level here. And then we'll see it go up. If we do, and it doesn't go as I expect, again, the bottoms are always hard to kind of call because you never know necessarily if it's going to stop there. But again, this area, I think we're going to see some lows here. And then right here at the 95.12 to the 94 area, if we do not stop here at that 96, then that next level is the 95.94. And we'll see something correlate with what we saw here. We'll see a bounce, right? See it kind of bounce up again and then come back down. And then from there, most likely see it push up to the next level of that 50 period, and it will probably be about right here at that time. So, and then from there, see it pull back, and then if it continues up, it will continue up. But the biggest key is to understand that this is in correlation. This trade is based off of the tariff trade, and as tariff talks start to finalize and we start to reconnect with China and start having a trade that is beneficial for both ends, then you will see a need for dollars, and so expect it to push up. So these are some of the things that are happening. Now, the reason why I bring that up is China, as well as Trump. China said that they're going to be meeting with Trump and in relationship to the tariff talk and to finalize everything. So that was something that was said, I think yesterday or today. I forget exactly where I read that. Let me make sure. Boom. Where are you at, buddy? Boom. I just want to make sure I got exactly. Where are you at, Bricks? I have a Bricks feed here. Give me 1 second. Boom. Yeah, Justin, America and China, U.S. says there will be tariff talks with China very soon. And then China, I believe, came out and verified that. Boom. Yeah, Justin, and that was today. That was President Xi Jinping saying he invites the U.S. President Trump to visit China. Now, so that's going to be an interesting situation. Obviously, that communication will be kind of crazy. I think it would be smart for Trump to play it more docile there. I would not handle his situation like he did with Vladimir Zelensky with that, because he was, as you know, it didn't go too well. So I would sit there and say, hey, pay attention, and hopefully he keeps it chill. Who knows if he goes over to China? I think if he does go to China, that will be a major boost for the economy, or for the markets, and we will see it really kind of push up just in anticipation for the news. And then once the news really comes out, we should see some type of sell-off. So we'll be able to take advantage of that move when that happens, once it gets kind of confirmed, and then play that. But ultimately, the dollar here, we want to get ready in position so that we can capture the leg up to about that 105, 104 area if it continues. Now, if we come down to that 95 to 94, which is ultimately where I thought we were going to go to, right? This is where, if we come down to there, then we should then come back up to about 100 mark. And so that's going to be about 5 points on the currency markets there. So that's a big deal. That's a major play there. So that's something we're going to be paying attention to. Now let's check out crude oil. Crude oil, we're seeing a bit of a sell-off again. We talked about this lower level here coming back down here. We saw, because of what Trump said, that was simply said, hey, knock that crap off, right? Quote, air unquote. And I'm paraphrasing that. But so I guess you wouldn't be quoting it. But I said expected to kind of come down to that 100, 200, 100-day period moving average as a bounce off the 200 period moving average. So we talked about that last week. So this is what we're seeing right now. Now, ultimately, I expect us to potentially come and tap that 60 area here again before. So that's really that next leg down that we're going to see come in. Let me go ahead and put that up here. Boom. 1 second. Boom, dum, dum, dum. Okay, here we are. Here we go again. All right. Boom. So you can see this. That's that 60.59 area here. I'm expecting crude oil to come back. That's the next real level there. You could see a potential bounce off of this level here. Give me 1 second. So you could also see another bounce off of that 62.60, or excuse me, 62.40 to the 62.70. So got a pretty good place that it might drop here. Ultimately, as we are really trying to become more efficient, right, in regards to the crude oil as well as natural gas, we'll probably see a sell-off of natural gas, or a natural gas period that correlates here. But that's if we really do see people kind of start buying more, right? Right now we saw the sell-off come in for natural gas. Boom. Was that on the monthly chart here? No, it wasn't on the monthly chart. Boom. I was weird that it went to monthly chart. Sorry, I was like, wait, what just happened? Natural gas, we're watching natural gas already kind of see the sell-off here as it comes down. I would expect to see a bump as we really start to sell this globally, but ultimately I would expect to see a sell-off, because it wouldn't behoove China and many other nations to really buy our stuff here. So it's going to be really interesting to see this play. Ultimately, I like that 250 area. We talked about this a while back ago when we saw back in April a sell-off, but we've already bounced off that 200. We're going to be bouncing off that 400. So it's the $2.83 area to the $2.21 area. So I know that's a big range there, especially if you're talking about natural gas, but ultimately, this would be a 1-to-1 ratio if you were looking to short this. We talked about shorting this last week as we came up to the 100. And so we're definitely looking, as they were putting in the supply wicks up in these higher levels, as we came into this level here. And so which is the level of $3.57 to the $3.51 area. So we saw the sell-off and we saw it come in. So this next level here is, like I said, you have the 400-day period moving average sitting in at that 284 down to roughly, or not necessarily approximately, but around that 250 to the 220. So that's it for crude oil, but I do expect us to see it continue down. So don't be shocked when you go to the gas pump and see a drop in what you typically were paying. Excuse me, that's from natural gas. Crude oil is going to be the same thing as well, coming back down to these lower levels.
Pedro, I've managed to find a spot to sit down and take a quick break. I totally lost what I was going to say about crude oil. I know. I just wanted to reference the air show that I'm at. There's going to be a need for crude oil for a long period of time. I mean, there's electric airplanes and electric drones here, but there is no chance that they can fly, as far or where is needed without basically burning dinosaur fuel dinosaur fossils in the air for a long period of time. And I don't see how, a lot of times people bring up the arguments about crude oil. It's like, well, it's a declining asset, as the world stops using it. No, those seats are free. As the world stops using it, that is just bullcrap. It just may not increase as much, but it's always going to increase until we run out of it, because right now it's cheap and easy to use. And in airplanes, electric vehicles, airplanes need to carry 100% of the energy with them. With fuel-powered aircraft, they use the oxygen as the oxidizer in the air, and so they get fuel out of the air. Part of the burning of a combustion engine is oxygen, which you get for free in the air.
Absolutely.
And electric vehicles have to carry 100% of their energy with them. So there's going to be a pressure on the crude oil industry forever. And I got to tell you, this industry is not getting smaller. People can talk about austere times and inflation. Everybody's hiring. The whole aircraft and aviation industry is growing. They're adding planes. People are adding personal planes. The maintenance and operation organizations are growing. And all that's more crude oil.
Yeah. So it's going to be really interesting as we really start to move forward here. But ultimately, I wouldn't be shocked if some innovation gets developed also where, as money starts to get put into nuclear and we have the ability to contain it, I wouldn't, and this is going to sound absolutely bonkers. So I want to preference this, right? But how many times have I said things that sounded bonkers and then we see it start to unfold, right? Like the idea of just simply me saying that I expect to see some form of, astro mining coming in within the next 5 to 10 years with Elon Musk. And then shortly after, a few months later, he said, yeah, I'm planning on doing that. And he talked about that. So again, this is going to sound bonkers, but nuclear is becoming much more efficient. And the safety mechanism which they have is in America is just outstrips the rest of the world. More importantly to it, they also have learned how to confine it and to have smaller nuclear plants. The sizes of houses, the sizes of even small or large rooms, or some that the size of a large room. You have a nuclear system that's a nuclear power plant that small that could actually run a whole entire city. And as that goes, so I wouldn't be shocked to also see nuclear actually, as it progresses and more innovation happens within it and the distribution of it, why wouldn't it be on a plane? Why wouldn't we not? Now, granted, I don't expect this anytime soon, but in 5-10 years, as money keeps putting in, as we keep connecting LLMs, and as they keep, decoupling proteins and understanding mechanisms, I could see, 3 years with AI simply just saying, hey, if you once we get to AGI, ASI is right around the corner. the efficiency that we see that correlates with nuclear, why would you not want to put that on a plane and get literally 1,000 times more efficiency from it? So crude oil definitely over the next few years, or I mean up to 20 years, I think it will always be, but ultimately, like you said, it probably will phase out here sooner or later, much like when it comes to actual human labor as robots start to take over. So it's going to be really interesting, I think, down the road here. But I agree with you. Like, until this period, keep trading the market, bro, because again, there will be a need for it. I know what I
100%.
It sounds crazy. I know it sounds crazy. All right. So one of the things we were talking about also with gold is I expected us to kind of stay in this range here between that 31.8 or 31.87 to about that 34, and today we broke out of this range. Yesterday we came in with a bunch of volume because of some macro news. We'll go into that later, but we saw it kind of push through up here, and now we're continuing up. And more importantly, it's coming in with good volume. Right, we're watching. Look at it. I mean, comparative to what it's had for buyer volume, we're seeing it increase, and so I'm expecting this thing to continue up as we start to move here. So, is something about to happen that we just don't know, and the rest of the world or the rest of the banksters, gangster banksters, go out and start to really do some mismanagement here? Are they expecting a decoupling of crypto and the traditional markets? Do they expect to see the markets kind of fall apart? We're seeing gold push up. We talked about that earlier as I was talking about bonds, right? If we see, anyways, we already went over that. But this is why I'm kind of expecting, now that we're actually breaking out, I think there's maybe some hidden news that we're going to find out about. But it's above the 8-period moving average, and we're staying above it with good volume. So my next price prediction, if this thing really starts to send off, we could see it hit at 3,800 if we really have another catastrophe that kicks in. So my new price target here is 3,800 potentially with gold, and there's reasons why I picked that level, and we'll go over that another day because I'm trying to get through the rest of the market and I got 20 minutes, so that's why. Okay, next one here is HG. We talked about copper and what Trump was really pushing. So I said, as long as that stays intact and he keeps with that rhetoric, expect to see copper push up. This is also add pressure on the ability to produce more factories for the manufacturing that's coming to America, and it's actually established and starting. Right, they're really removing a lot of those red tapes in Washington, or trying to. Right, so if that does happen, it's going to be kind of expensive way for them to build, especially with copper this high. And so if we start to see it push up, which I don't think we will, but. And the reason why is, like, look at the volume here. You see the volume, they're not really putting much in, but you never know if something comes out, if Trump says something or it happened, all of a sudden we see just a push up because we're staying above the 8-period moving average here, right? That 8-period moving average is one of those things that I'm looking at going, I don't like it. And as we were coming back down, you saw we were putting a bunch of demand wicks over here. And so we didn't go below this area where I said, as long as we stay above that 8-period moving average and we have demand wicks, I can't fade it. I got to keep going long here on HG for copper. So ultimately, that's what I'm looking at. And so if this thing just starts to pump, I'm expecting a $6, and I'm going to keep it safe here, which I normally don't. You guys know I like to call crazy, outlandish price points when they hit it. I can sit there and say, I told you. But ultimately, this one, I just don't know, because there's more of a geopolitical situation that's happening here. And when I look at it from a technical standpoint, I just don't see it. Come on. Don't be a douche. Be cool, honey bunny. Be cool.
Hey, Pedro, I've been listening this whole time, but I have to, as they say, take a quick bio break. So for the next 5 minutes, I will not be listening.
Gotcha. All right. Well, this is, I would expect this to be some type of target. It's a whole number here. And so if we break through this area, that $6 mark, I think it could be a bit of a sell-off and then come back down and test that period. Something like this. Boom. And then come down. Hey, Tom, can you go through and just mute? Yeah, Tom, mute it. Shoot, he can't hear me. Tom, can you mute? Well, looks like we'll be hearing the information going on between what we're seeing. Shout out, if Elon Musk is watching, shout out, buddy. What's up? Keep doing what you're doing. Stay strong. Don't let them control you. We need another system. All right, here we go. Boom. As you guys can see, Crypto Mike says, yeah, that would be good for us all. All right. Yeah, that would be good for us all if the U.S. and China and most other nations came to a consensus on tariffs and policies and stuff. I would agree, man. But I just, it doesn't sell. And they need some form of like tension here, and obviously Trump is going through and playing this system because he wants to get a good deal. And the longer he holds, the stronger his position gets, because that means China stays. They're not selling goods and services. People are losing jobs. They're not getting GDP coming into, or they're not getting money to come into their country, which adds to their balance, right? And they still have debt. They very much have debt, just like us. And it's pretty close to a parity of 1-to-1. And we go over that normally, which is what we're about to go over next. One second as I change the thread. Boom. Go over here real quick. Let's check out the world's debt. Like we were saying, they are 80% to be over their actual GDP. Their GDP, right? They're still less than us, right? We're about 100 right there, which is actually not correct. But our national debt is about 120% over what our GDP is. Their national debt, they're about 86% less. As you can see, that their debt is. This is what their balance sheet, how much money they make for their country. That's the GDP growth. And this allows you to be able to see, okay, if Trump keeps holding out, this thing right here keeps going up. And this slows down because we're basically are the ones who feed their gross domestic product because we buy a lot of their stuff, right? And so you got to raise rates around the world, which then brings competition with other businesses that are local, right? And so this is this other situation that's going on for those businesses staying intact and keep producing in China. They need to bring some, like here in America, right? Whenever someone drops their rate or struggling, what does the competitor do? They try to stick to them. And that's what we're seeing in many other countries. That's what we're seeing in many other countries right now. That they can get that market share because you can either make it up in price or in volume, right? And so this is like a really important understanding. You can either make it up in price or in volume. And right now, many of the other countries are trying to make it up in volume over price. And it does have a very cheap labor form, very cheap labor, and they're skilled as well. Brian, talking. Okay, so we're seeing this here. In addition to that, when I look at here, if we see HG, if we see copper go up, we're also going to see that also hurt China because China uses a limited amount of copper they buy. They're the primary importers of copper around the world. And so this is hurting their businesses as well because they produce a lot of buildings, whether that's what they need to do because they've got a bunch of empty cities, or they're going to slow down on it and stop pretending, right? Or stop saying that they have a really amazing economy And in reality, they got a bunch of empty cities, and they can stop pretending and just be real, right? But we'll see if they decide to kind of humble pie instead of save faith. But that's for another day, another time. So now I'm also paying attention to this and see if we're just going to hit this and push this back up. This is also another play potential that Trump is playing. Maybe he's backdoor saying push this market up. He knows that it hurts China. And the longer he waits, the more leverage he has when it comes to the actual market, to the market. So in regards to the tariffs and things play out. So the game is in America's favor. Let's check out now many of these stocks. I've got 10 minutes. Okay. Now, one of the things we've been watching, NVIDIA as well as Microsoft. We've actually seen a... Where's my Microsoft? I thought I had Microsoft. I guess not. My bad. All right, so we'll just use this as an example instead of me trying to go through all these. This is NVIDIA, Tesla, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, Google. This is the conglomeration of the actual top 10 and or the top largest market caps in per capita for tech stocks. Typically, I like to go individually, but I'm running out of time here, so we're going to look at this here real quick. You can see here that we've actually been kind of playing above this 8-period moving average, but you can see on the daily here, we're putting in an equal side of buyers and seller wigs, and so they're showing a lot of indecision here, right? As we're pushing up, you saw a lot of buyer wigs coming in, buyer wig, demand wig. Here was kind of consolidated, but push back up. But whereas you can see here, as we like to push up back here, you can see there are a lot more buyer longer wigs. So when I look at this area here, I'm expecting it to kind of pull back here. We're already starting to see a slowdown in this economy because if you look, or this area here, because look at the volume, you can see how volume starts to drop there, right? And every time we start to see that, it typically goes. We've seen two major legs push up from here to here and from here to here. So again, I'm expecting to see the top 10 kind of sell off here, coming back down to around about half. I do, right, where we're sitting here. And so because we got a major gap zone right there, I expect you to see it to come back down. And that would be all the major stocks for tech, which then will control the Nasdaq, which basically also controls the S&P 500, roughly, at the end of a nutshell. All right. Coin. So this was crazy, and I was looking at this is Coinbase, and I was shocked to see once they announced their stablecoin, their ability to start to go out and make perpetual futures.
Thank you.
What I thought was interesting is that we saw it sell off instead of continuing up. So I thought that was really interesting. I don't know if Wall Street understands the perpetual futures, but this is going to add a substantial amount of revenue for Coinbase, and as well as with that, this will also add a substantial amount of volume to actual crypto itself. So again, they're going to see an increase in revenue from this, and so I'm expecting. I just don't understand why it's selling off when that announcement came in. Now, granted, sell the news, buy the rumor. So it could be that, but that was today and yesterday. So maybe it was leaked down. We're starting to see it come back down. So if it does, I would expect to see kind of a couple places that we can get in on. One of the places is right here, which is going to be the, give me 1 second, the 8-period moving average on Coinbase, and that's going to be around the $34 to the $40 area, this weekly area if we do see it pull back, and then if it does continue down, then the next level is going to be that 235 area here, and so I would expect us to see it push up, and that one's going to be an actual demand zone as we come down to it. Oh.
Good.
There we go.
There they are.
It's gotta go to 3. Forgive me.
No, this way, so they have more room for a chair.
Yeah, there's two people sitting there.
I think they're sitting there.
Brother. Boom. So this is the area here that I would look. I expect the Coinbase to pull back from. So I'm kind of looking at a couple areas here. One is going to be that 39, and the other one, or the 339 area here. And is that 339, right? I think so. Yeah, 339. And the other one's going to be around that 195 area. Oh, that's not what I was trying to do. Is it 195? See, this is where it's going to be rough.
What do I do with my hat?
Yo, you're on.
No, wait, here.
You're not muted, bud.
No.
Okay. So this is this area that I'm looking to see. I'll pull back to. We'll see what's up. Now let's check out coin here. So we did coin, MicroStrategies. Boom. MicroStrategy hit our area of supply, and we're watching it kind of sell off. I was actually kind of shocked to sit there and see it sell off. I thought we were going to continue up, but I knew that we knew that it was going to most likely sell off, but I didn't think it was going to be that much. I thought it was just going to come back down to the 8, but we're actually coming down to the 20 period moving average, and we're kind of putting some down wicks. Now, the thing that to be paying attention to is, as you can see right here, we're seeing volume drop off as we're coming down. So if we're going to sell off from here, we're most likely going to come and play off of that 331 area before we put the next leg up. So if we see a rally within Bitcoin, or it kind of sell off, we'll see a sell off of MicroStrategies. But then as we see the rally come back in, I would expect to see MicroStrategies play above that 543 area. So yep, that's what I'm expecting, and we'll see what happens. Okay. BTC 123. Now, we talked about it actually going through and kind of playing around in this level area here. We're seeing volume, like I talked about here, doing what it's doing. I want to see it come back down specifically to hit this area, as I'm got a cough for a second. When I talk this much, man, which I normally don't, my voice just always gets trashed for like a day. Sorry, Tom. I just needed some water. Normally, Tom takes over here and talks.
Hey, Pedro, I'm eating right now.
Oh, no worries. All right. My voice is, I'm starting to get the frog sound. You're good. Go ahead and eat, Tom. You're good. So right here, we're just staying in this level. We talked about this earlier. Let's talk about ETH and my price predictions here. So yesterday we saw it go push up, but again, it's strong. It is strong. We're watching it push up. I expect us to hit that 435 to the 482 here, which is roughly around the all-time highs here. We did talk about at these lower levels because once it didn't close above the 100-day period move average, we started staying above that 8. I said this baby's going. So I expect to see it come down. We're going to have a consolidation period here, or a pullback period here to that 8 most likely. And then from there, maybe consolidation for maybe a day or two, and then see it continue up into these higher levels. So that is what I'm expecting to see what happens here. If we do start to sell off, then that 289 or the 28, excuse me, the 2900, we can see a pullback and then a push back up. So, but that's loose. That's not set in stone there. If it does, we'll handle that as it comes. BNB is just, it's a juggernaut. Look at this thing. Look at it. It is like saying, what's my name? What'd you say about me? Nah, be quiet. Sit down. What is it? Be quiet. Sit down. Learn something. Anyways, I think Canada exports a lot of copper to the U.S. Yes, they do. That is a good point. They do. And they buy a lot also from China and everything else that correlates with that. China buys from everybody. Legitly everybody. So real interesting. You can see right here, I think it's really important to understand this, is that if we see BNB really start to get going, okay, I think it's important to say, I just want to shout, if Elon Musk potentially is watching us, if you could share us, I would really appreciate that. Not that you are, you did respond to Mr. Shiitake, but if you happen to be watching us, watch some of our other shows, Mr. Musk, and I promise you, go back and look at other Technical Tuesdays, and you'll see my calls, and I think you'll be pretty impressed. Also, some of the stuff that we've called out, almost forward thinking, much more advanced. I mean, before you even talked about doing astro mining, I said this man's going to come out and say this stuff because that's the next step he needs to get. He needs to get buy-in. So again, this is just a long shot. I don't know, but if you are, it'd be dope if you could share our show on your page.
It's quite the long shot, Pedro, but if Elon truly was tuned in, that would be something.
Listen, man, I know that we have major KOLs who turn in who literally parrot my stuff, which is very frustrating because they still haven't shouted us out, yet they can sit there and copy and talk about my calls here as if it's their own because they, anyways, that bothers me. I don't care, whatever. Good luck to them. Much love. Always blessings to everybody. All right. Let's go here real quick. So we've seen BNB just blow through our resistance level here, and it is just coming strong. I mean, look at the volume here. This is nuts. It's not slowing down. It's going. So again, I expect to see, I mean, really, and I know this is going to sound nuts, but if we break through all-time highs here, I expect to see us really get up to that, 1,000, if not 1,300. This would be the next level that we could simply see. Because after we break that 795 area, the next level is 1,000. I don't think we're going to stop at the equal 900. I think we're going to blow through the 900 and hit 1,000 quick. Probably a week or two. And so that would be almost, what would that be? Boom, 70, that'd be 8, boom. That would be almost a 40% jump once it pushes through this. And so, and I think, like I said, I feel the same thing with ETH as we really start to see it pop like it's hot. Whoop, whoop. Shout out. All right, so let's go here, XRP. If you look at the chart, don't make me throw up. But I will always give it an honest, truthful statement as I look into XRP. So you can see with the XRP, or it doesn't even matter what chart. I always say, I'll be truthful in the charts. You can see here that we're pushing up and we're finding support on that 8-period moving average. And we are seeing some seller wicks come in, but really more demand wicks. As you can see, demand wick, not so much here. This acted as some form of resistance from here. You can see it was coming up, boom. But once we started seeing volume even stepping further, like I said, we can see it go up. Now, here's the thing. Where can we see XRP get going to, right? And I've said this a couple of times. Ultimately, I feel like in this bull run, we could see XRP hit that 900. We talked about XRP hitting that 900 when it was around this level, $9, not 900, $9 XRP, right? I'm at the end of this bull run as we see a sell-off. And so this push between 366 area and 365 or 355, that would be a 3x of where we're sitting, which still wouldn't take that much, especially with all of the legislation that is leaning towards XRP, which I think is unfair and not cool and almost scary because it allows for a CBDC system. If Elon Musk is watching, you need to create your own coin and establish it in literally a DeFi system, or use Doge in a DeFi system so that we don't have to worry about XRP coming through. I almost am pushing for a Facebook coin as well. I'm still shocked that they haven't pushed for that, but I think that needs to be. I think that needs to happen. And the same thing with Elon Musk and what he's establishing with a lot of what he's doing on X. I think he wanted to call it an everything app. So let's see if we can get that going. Now, Tron, TRX. TRX has seen a bit of a sell-off, but again, I talked about this already, if I see a major sell-off in Tron, I do expect them to. I'm going to be buying it, right? Because I think what they're doing, they're one of the biggest people. They do a lot of business. What was it? 40% of USDT is actually transferred into Tron, or excuse me, not Tron, TRX. So it's really important to be paying attention to that. So if they do sell off, I don't expect to see it sell off that far. I could only hope that we could see it come back down to that 25 area. I thought we were actually going to blow through this area here, but you can see this area here did hold this market. So it's one of those things. But ultimately, as we were pushing up to it, we saw a lot of good volume come in. And even on the red days, we don't have a lot of red volume coming in, right? So that's why I'm expecting to see this really drop. Or excuse me, I'm expecting to see a pullback and then it to push up. All right, Mikey says, Elon should send me a Starlink internet dish. I will trade my soul for it. Oh, that's funny. That's cool. Here we go. Boom, TRX.
We need to get going, Pedro.
We'll make this happen. You're right. I was trying to get through these. We'll finish these up, and tomorrow we're going to be going over meme coins. On Thursday, we're going to go over blockchains, and so we'll be going over, look at the ones that we've been checking out their volume, and expecting a profit. All right, guys, thank you so much for coming in today. The latest news, I will go over here just real quick so you guys can read. I already talked about that. Russia prepares to ban.
No new news. No new news. No new news. We gotta go.
All right, you gotta go, guys. We gotta go. Thank you guys for coming in today. Really appreciate every one of you guys for hitting the like and the share button. That really helps us out immensely. If you could, meme day tomorrow. There we go. If you guys got any meme coins you want me to go over, please have them ready. Everybody knows, go to our Telegram group and please just drop in the contract so that we can have them already prepared so I can pull them up and I don't got to sit there and be like, you know, as you see, as I normally struggle with. So send them to Tom and we'll be able to make that simple and easy. Anything else, Tom? Are you going to? No, you're
all right, everybody.
Today, right?
Nope. No, I probably have 10 seconds left with the power and data, and then the stream's just going to die.
Okay, that's close.
I'm finishing today, but I'll still be remote tomorrow because of travel. Anyway, I think it's cutting out. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I got to run here. Thanks to everyone that watched. Thanks to Pedro for handling the show today. Really appreciate it. As always, we're here at between noon and 2 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. As I always like to say, the man in the box above me is none other than Pedro Garcia, the crypto chart analyst. My name is Tom, striking here in the digital media universe. Thanks to everyone that watched on Rumble and YouTube. Everyone have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. It's not ending the stream.